We can speak now to Climate Programme Director at an independent policy research institute, Lola Vallejo. Thanks so much for your time. Can I start simply by asking you what you make of this new law that's currently being voted on?
I think it's not controversial to say that this law is to a certain extent a missed opportunity. It's got some very interesting advances and makes progress in terms of tackling our emissions. But it really falls short of the pace that is needed if we are to meet our objective, and also considering the fact that France also has to increase its objectives to follow the pace set by the European Union.
How big an impact do you think the measures that are in this law will have? You know, that ending of the very short-haul domestic flights and so on. Will that have, an impact nonetheless? It's better than nothing, if you like.
Absolutely. No, it is better than nothing. And I think some of the measures have been internationally hailed, including the ban on domestic flights is certainly a first. I think it's a shame because it has some really interesting symbolic measures. But if you look at it with a closer lens, there are too many loopholes and delayed implementation to really have the impact that the law itself is trying to achieve. So France has set itself the objective of reducing emissions by 40%. And many observers, not just environmental activists, but also the public advisor on climate, the High Council on Climate, has, along with the Conseil d'État, the State Council, both pointed to the limited potential of these measures to meet the objectives set by the law. And that's even before you consider the fact that France will have to raise its target, its domestic target, to follow suit with what the European Union has set.
So where do you think this hesitancy to act further comes from? Is it, a political decision? Is it economic impact? Or is it also the pressure from society?
It's a very interesting question. The Citizen Convention on Climate was Macron's administration response to the Yellow Vests movement, and it was kind of sending the ball back in the court of the citizens and telling them, you tell us how we're going to solve this conundrum of having meaningful climate action while paying attention to social justice. I think the citizens have been very ambitious in proposing a coherent set of measures. And I think the fact that it's been watered down in what the government proposed and not yet raised in terms of ambition by going through the Houses of Parliament as just a sign of the tensions there are around meaningful climate action. Of course, there are going to be some voices calling for slowing down and not starting too fast. I think the Citizen Climate Convention was trying to address both the need for ambitious climate action and the social justice factor of the equation, but also companies will need to understand that if we are serious about tackling climate change, we're going to have to go faster. So let's discuss not about the what, but about the how. And so far, this law is unfortunately falling short of what is needed to meet our own objectives.
Very finally and briefly, the main argument often against moving faster on climate change action is the economic cost of it. Do you think that that's a justified argument?
I think it's a very narrow view of what are the costs of climate action, because the part of the equation that we often tend to forget is the cost of not acting on climate change. And just before the law was going through Parliament, we've seen that for instance, many winemakers in France have lost a large share of their crops, and we know that the weather becoming more extreme, and whether it's cold snaps or heat waves are all linked to increased variability and extreme weather events from climates. So if we take a short-term view, yes, there are going to be costs, but if we take just a longer-term perspective, it's easy to see that climate change is in our economic interest.
Lola Vallejo, thanks so much for taking time out to speak to us here on France 24. Much appreciated.